morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to chat about the first Budew card that we've had in 16 years. Yeah, that's right. Terrestrial Festival over in Japan. I'm assuming Prismatic Evolutions over in the West, not confirmed but extremely likely, is going to be bringing us the first Budew card we've actually had since Stormfront, which launched in November 2008. We'll be getting this card in January 2025. That is, 16 years and for us, 2 months. That is a very, very long time between Budew cards. But here's the thing, right? We're not just making a video about this card because it's the first one we've seen in 16 years, although I still think that is incredibly relevant and very much worth celebrating. And look, every Pokemon is somebody's favorite. There are going to be a bunch of people out there for whom their favorite Pokemon is Budew, and they're going to look at this and be absolutely delighted. Oh, Budew, sorry. It's pronounced Budew. There we go. Looks like it should be Dew, but it's not. It's Budew. And the thing is, it's actually good. Budew here is good. And that's kind of amazing, honestly. The fact that we waited 16 years and it's here and it's a 30 HP baby Pokemon and it's actually good. For what it's worth, the Budew from Stormfront actually had a poker body, which prevented all effective attacks, including damage, done by poison Pokemon. And it had a 0 energy attack to search for any Pokemon. And when you could evolve it into Roselia. Because technically Roselia is a basic Pokemon, so you need to have this Poker Power Baby evolution to evolve from Budew into Roselia. But either way, oh, and actually we did have one before that in Diamond and Pearl, which was less good. And basically, we don't have many Budew cards. And the one from Stormfront was the better of the two, but now we got another one, and this one should see a bunch of play. What does it do? Well, 30 HP is terrible, but free retreat is nice. 0 energy, 10 damage. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards from their hand. Now, the 0 energy here is actually incredibly relevant, not just because you can put your energy elsewhere, but because you won't always start with this. In a lot of games, you're going to be getting this out. You don't want to play 4 of these. I mean, some decks you will, I suppose. But you don't want to be forced to start with this unless you really want to, because leaving this on the field will give your opponent easy prizes throughout the game. The ideal situation here is you search it out and pop it in the active when you need it, and with no energy needed to actually pull off the attack, it means your energy for the turn can be used as a pivot option, attached to your active Pokemon, use that energy to retreat, and then Budew's active and you don't have any energy, but you don't need any energy, because of course, you can just go right ahead. That's lovely. And here we've got Item Lock. Really reliable turn 1 going second item lock. It's not going to work turn 1 going first, of course, because of the whole, you're not allowed to attack. But except for if you go first on your first turn of the game, you are always going to have item lock there and ready to go. You bring this active, you don't pay any energy, you do a token 10 damage, which is not terribly relevant, but it's better than not doing any damage, and all of a sudden your opponent is item locked. An item lock isn't a huge thing in the game right now, so I thought I'd go back and have a bit of a look, and we don't have great item lock right now. Now, we have decent. The item lock we've got right now, which actually does see play, is Bayonet. The Bayonet from Scarlet and Violet, single energy, 30 damage, and your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand. But this is a stage 1, so it takes a turn to get it rolling. You still do very low damage. You don't do that much more than Budew. You only do an extra 20. And it's a 2-prize Pokemon that if it gets KO'd, gives up that second prize. And that's kind of the issue here. Now, Bayonet recently has been doing very well. We've seen Bayonet Gardevoir decks topping at regionals, doing very well. They are out there. They are legit. They are good decks. I am not downplaying the recent success that Bayonet has seen, because it has seen a bunch of recent success. But I am saying it is not the best deck in the format. and it is not something that any deck can use. You need to be playing a Psychic deck and running around with all of that in order to use Bayonet. That is one of the big differences with Budew here. This can be used by literally anything. Any deck whatsoever can start playing around with this. All you need to do is just play a basic Pokemon in your deck and then search it out from your deck and then get it in the active spot. Like, this is not asking very much here at all. And I kind of love this. Because the other thing which I do think needs to be borne in mind here, it's not like this is some kind of unstoppable monster. It's a 30 HP Pokemon that does 10 damage. Let's take something like Charizard deck. Charizard decks are going to hate this initially because, of course, and this turns off many things, turns off all items, but one of the main things this will turn off is Rare Candy. And in a Charizard deck, your opponent really wants Rare Candy to evolve into their Charizard and get rolling. It's going to be very annoying that they're not able to use Rare Candy to evolve into their Charizard to get rolling, okay? But here's the thing. In a Charizard deck, well, they've got Charmander. And okay, Charmander does, most people play the one from 151, because 70 HP. So you need to attach 2 energy, and then you do 30 damage, and even the weakness is irrelevant here, because, you'll get it. You only need to do 20 because of the weakness, you'll do 30, you'll be fine. The thing is, it all gets a bit awkward, because we look at Charizard and we go, no Rare Candy, gutted, and they're like, yeah, but I can just attack with Charmander. And then you go, yeah, but you're a Charizard deck, mate. You're probably playing like 5 fire energy, and I'm blocking your item cards, so your deck is less consistent. So, sure, you can draw into 2 fire energy, and then attach them both to Charmander, and then KO me, and then Rare Candy into Charizard, and round we go. But it's going to take you probably some time to get there. And that's what interests me most about Budew. I don't think it's necessarily some kind of, I'm going to play this and just run you out of resources and win the game kind of thing. This is part of a strategy, which could work with a million different decks, and I love it. And I'm going to go back to something I've mentioned in a lot of videos, and I'm sorry, it's one of my favourite things to do right now. It's a card I hate, but a card that I actually end up playing a lot right now. It's Unfair Stamp. This is perfect with Unfair Stamp, because you sit there item locking your opponent. They are going to KO you because they have to KO you to get access to their items, and the second they KO you, you Unfair Stamp them down to a 2-card hand. Now, there are a couple of options here. You could then bring up a second Budew and actually start to item lock them while having 2 cards in hand. But my theory here is use Budew to just buy some time. Use this to frustrate your opponent while you set up. They finally KO Budew. You put them down to a 2-card hand. But in theory, they've been item locked for a couple of turns and you haven't. So you're in a better position here. You've made a better start. And then you go and win from there. I think this card is phenomenal. I think the fact that it's got 30 HP and only does 10 damage basically means you're not going to be able to use this as a put it there, use the attack every turn, win the game kind of thing. This isn't Seismitoad. Seismitoad was big and bulky and did decent damage and had Hypnotoxic Laser to do extra damage and frustrated you in that regard. This is not that card. Plus, we don't have Hypnotoxic Laser right now. What this card is a card which can basically sit there and buy you some time in the early game, in the mid game, in the late game, doesn't matter when, and it can exist in a way to just stop you doing anything, to buy time to set up, or to buy time to re-establish, or you can bring it up at the end of the game and just be like, I know you're out of energy. I know the only cards you use to replay energy are energy retrieval. Wait. That's an item, isn't it? And super odd. Wait. That's an item too. And that's also how I see this card going. This is a card which can absolutely reward players who know or can figure out their opponent's deck list. Because if you can catch them in a situation where, like I say, like they're out of energy and all their energy retrieval cards or energy recovery cards are items, then you can legit just play this Budew and be like, I know for a fact I might only be doing 10 damage a turn here. You do not have the energy to knock out Budew, and I am not going to let you have access to it. Things along those lines are where this works. Or you know that your opponent has got 5 cards left before they deck out, and all of their switching cards are item cards. They're not playing any supporters, and they don't have, again, they've used enough energy that they're not going to be able to retreat, or the retreat cost is too high or whatever. So you use this and just go, you can't attack. You need to switch into your Pokemon on the bench, which has all of your energy on. So you don't have energy to retreat, you don't have energy to attack, and you need to switch into the Pokemon on the bench that can attack, but in order to do that, you need to use item cards, and oh, wait a second, you don't have them. This is not, as far as I'm concerned, a put it up and win the game kind of card every time. I don't think that's going to work. But buying time to set up and combining it with an unfair stamp, that I love. Using it when you know your opponent's running low on resources and this can frustrate them and then win the game, that I love. It's not an easy card, I think, to use. And I think a lot of the time you are going to end up just giving up a prize and maybe buying a turn. But there are going to be times where this is absolutely huge. I would be very, very surprised if we didn't see this in some winning decks moving forward. I'm giving this 5 Watsies. I don't think it's even that controversial. But I want to know what you think. Tell me if you think this card was worth the 16-year wait. Tell me if you think we're going to be seeing this in winning decks moving forward. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shout-outs on the channel like the lovely Alex is Cruising, who is a very lovely person who's helped have a bunch of stuff in the past and is just awesome. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.